After rail fanning around Waycross yesterday afternoon, some rain unfortunately rolled into the area. I decided it would be best to wait until the rain died down to head out from the hotel, so it wasn't until 10:30 that we were rolling into Racepond. I thought I had heard a southbound on its way from Waycross, and I was correct about that. What I was wrong about, however, was that the train was already heading through Folkston, so there was nothing left to see here. Arriving into Folkston, the southbound unit ethanol train was clearing the crossing, headed for Tampa. Folkston, Georgia is located at milepost A602.2 on the Nahunta Subdivision. This is former Atlantic coastline trackage, as the A prefix denotes in the milepost. These tracks weren't always owned by the ACL though. This section of track was originally constructed as Henry Plant grew his railroad south from Waycross towards Florida. The line was chartered in 1880 as the Waycross and Florida Railroad from the north, and the East Florida Railway from Jacksonville to the Georgia-Florida border. By 1881, the line was opened. At 11:03, CSXT 3310 leads a loaded coal drag CO4017 off the Jesup Subdivision, bound for Orlando Utility Company's Stanton Energy Center. Plant's final piece of expansion in the area was the Folkston Cutoff. In order to direct north-south traffic away from Waycross, the northern portion of the modern-day Nahunta Subdivision between Folkston and Jesup was completed in 1901. After Plant's death soon thereafter, the line fell into the hands of the Atlantic Coastline, and eventually modern-day CSX as their Jacksonville, Florida to Savannah, Georgia mainline. Looking to the north, I-3721 can be seen coasting downhill and into Folkston with intermodal for Jack's Ramp. This part of the country is often called flat, but there are a few hills like this around. Just 30 minutes later, another train's lighting up the radio. This is IO3222 with Tropicana juice loads and intermodal for North Bergen, New Jersey, originating just down the road in Jacksonville. With their headlights coming into the view from the south, CSXT L79522 returns back north to Waycross after heading south earlier this morning. L795 is mixed freight shuttle between Waycross and Jacksonville. With a limited approach signal showing, M44222 brings mixed freight north out of Tampa hot on L795's heels. This was certainly the most interesting train of the day, with the 2 Union Pacific locomotives trailing, along with the 2 wrecked tank cars on flat cars. They were wrecked somewhere down south and are finally bound for Waycross and repair. Just 15 minutes later, and another northbound is lit up to diverge onto the Jesup Subdivision. This time, it is IO 2622 with hot intermodal out of Jacksonville for Chicago, Illinois. The stretch of track between Folkston and Florida has long been called the Folkston or Florida Funnel. Everything headed to or from Florida is funneled through the Nahunta Subdivision, and this afternoon has truly showed that off. 3 trains in 30 minutes, back to back to back. The action wasn't over for the Folkston Funnel yet. After meeting the 3 northbounds at Racepond, M44222 brings its train south. With one last northbound on the way for Waycross, we decided to head back up to Racepond. Just as the train came into view, so did the rain. Here is L79622 with veteran AC44 number 545 in the lead, still wearing yellow nose 2 paint.
Equipment defect detector. Milepost 611.0. No defects. No defects. Total axle 478. End of transmission.
L79621 getting clear signal south end of Racepond, northbound on the main. No defects detected. Good count northbound out.
The dispatcher had set a meet between L796 and a southbound at Braganza, so that allowed for just enough time to get ahead of them by Astoria. By then, the rain was coming down with no end in sight. Thank you all for watching this Folkston rail fanning adventure. If you enjoyed this video and haven't seen part 1 from Waycross, make sure to check that video out. You can click it on the left of your screen. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe. I would really appreciate it if you did that. And until next time, this is Commonwealth Rail, out.